I've said it many times, I know I would change my ways, I know for sure. When all the crows decide to meet, they settle down beneath my feet. I've got it right and I got it wrong, but I learned my lesson hanging on. Come sit here with me by the fire and let it go for a little while. So be here as the night starts falling. Let my fingers walk over your head. We got nothing to be scared of. I'd rather be with you than by myself. Now all is in your hands. Control will lead me to an ending road, and heavy metal seemed to be the only thing that was for me. And I saw the angels coming down, and they sang a song and sang it loud, and I still remember parts of it, and the yellow glorious will it. Won't you be my guide and let me follow? Can I hold your hand for all time's sake? And all this time you waited for me. Little did we know, I guess it's fate. Now all is in our hands. All is in our hands. All is in our hands.
Hey, hello everyone. Ahoy, hummingbirds. Welcome to Moin Day. Yes, today is Moin Day, and it is lunch therapy. And we are here to get our therapy on. Today's show is going to have some really interesting stuff in it. It's got a ghostly lion and a dancing lizard, so it's starting off right. It's also going to have some brains, not my brains. Well, maybe a few stories about my brains, and not zombie brains. But we're going to have some neural nets and some brain interface talk. Everywhere I turn, there seems to be a story about brains. I don't know why this is for me, but maybe I need to get some brains. Hi. Hello, Jose. What brains? Exactly. What brains? We need some brain enhancements, I think. The world is moving a little too fast for us. Perhaps Elon Musk thinks he can enhance our brains in some way. We're going to take a look at that. Also, I wanted to tell you what's coming up later on in the week. It's going to be pretty exciting. We've got John Curry, the actor, Seattle guy, actor, University of Washington grad like myself. He's coming on Wednesday, so that's going to be cool. We have Jim Meskimen on Friday, who is one of the world's greatest impressionists. So that should be cool. We had John DiDomenico on a few weeks ago, a month ago, something like that. So we'll see. The dueling impressionists. Jose is here. I'm glad because we're going to have some comedians talking science with Gini Sikes. The amazing Gini Sikes is here, so that's cool. She's in the green room hanging out with Boney. But Boney has an announcement. So there's going to be an announcement coming right up. And here we go. It's a big announcement. Boney, where are you? We've got an announcement. Oh, hey.
Very excited to say something to you.
Yeah, tell me.
Okay. First thing is, you're looking good, brother.
Thanks a lot. I try. I'm trying.
Second thing is, okay, we have a big schedule change on lunch therapy.
Yeah, there's going to be a big change.
Usually we run Monday and Wednesday, which we call hump day. Well, now we're going to forget about those stinky days.
What?
Those days suck.
No Moin days?
No Moin day.
No hump days?
Hump day. Forget about it.
Uh-oh.
We're going right to the gold, to the chocolate, to the melty center of the days of the week, which is Tuesday and Friday.
Tuesday and Friday. So
Tuesday and Friday.
When? Starting next week.
Yeah.
Lunch therapy is going to be on Tuesdays and Fridays at noon Pacific time.
Right. That's right.
We're going to try that out. See how it goes.
Yeah,
seems like it might be good.
It's going to go really good.
It's pretty great.
I remember when Wednesdays was Sundays at Carvel, I could get an ice cream for half price on Wednesdays, even though it wasn't Sunday. Yeah.
That was an East Coast thing. I don't think we had that on the West Coast. We didn't really know about Carvels. But for those East Coasters out there, they get that reference. So that's good. All right, well, that's the announcement. Starting next week, Tuesday and Friday, we'll see you right here on Lunch Therapy. What are people going to do on Moin Day and Hump Day?
Oh, well, Joel, on those days, they can watch some of the classics. They can rerun some of the greatest hits of Lunch Therapy. You know what I'm talking about.
So we'll have 245 episodes that they can go back and watch anytime for all the therapy they want. And, we're going to try this out. Tuesdays and Fridays, Lunch Therapy at noon. Why are you petting my hair?
Oh, your hair's so pretty.
Thanks a lot. I appreciate it.
I love it. I wish I had hair. I thought my hair was supposed to keep growing.
Well, we could get you a wig. You know, they make great wigs these days.
Will you get me a wig?
Yeah, I'll get you a wig.
Oh,
of course.
Joel, you're my best friend.
That's so nice.
Love you, Joel.
That's so nice, Boney.
Thank you.
All right, so get back in your hole and let's get on with the show. Hey, Guy Fly, how's your eye?
Oh, it's...
I'm gonna get myself a modem. 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 I'm gonna get myself a modem.
All right, so that's the big announcement. It's a big one, I know. It's going to be a little adjusting to Tuesdays and Fridays. But, hey, quality of the show might go up. Who knows? Who knows what's going to happen? And it's an experiment. And the great thing about the internet is we can do whatever we want. We could have a show 3 times a day if we wanted to. But for now, it's going to be Tuesdays and Fridays at noon Pacific time. And I hope you all come and join as you've been doing. I seem to be in, I seem to be in Mr. Rogers' living room here. This is one of those Zoom backgrounds. If you ever want to have Mr. Rogers' living room in your Zoom meeting, head on over to Zoom backgrounds there on Etsy. But right now, we are going to breathe. I want to see what our community has to say. I'll breathe with you on Mondays and Wednesdays, Guignol. I like the way Guignol said, I guess on Mondays and Wednesdays we can just piss off. Well, you know what? You can call me. Call me. I'll entertain you. We can breathe together. In through the nose, out through the toes. Hold it. Let it go. Yeah, we're breathing. Today we're going to need some breathing because we've got Gini Sikes on the show, and I can never breathe when she's around. She sucks the air right out of the room. No, I'm just kidding. In through the nose, out through the toes. Hold it. I hear Ginny breathing in the green room, so she's here, so that's great. Let it go. Heading on the road here. Got one more breath. I wanted to show you something because we have had an order of a blue shirt. Actually, Jose won a blue shirt last week, and he got it, and it looks like this. I haven't had the light blue shirt. I thought it would be like a baby blue shirt. I hadn't seen it. It's really quite nice. I highly recommend it. You can buy the shirts on Etsy in the Myth Club store, or just go to my website, Joelmarshall.com. You can drink a margarita with it. Here's Jose here in his shirt. Looks fantastic on him. All right, in through the nose, out through the toes. We got one more breath. Hold it. And let it go. This is very much like JP Patches. I am going to say happy birthday to Loretta out there. It is her birthday today. If everybody could say happy birthday to Loretta, that would be great. Today we are going to have, kidding, not kidding. Breathe on Mondays. Yep. I love this background. I don't know what it is, but it's something about being on the road. I have been on the road researching brain implants because brains just keep coming my way. Yesterday, my wife gave me a story about a brain implant. She had no idea that I was thinking about it all the time. I wrote a script about brain implants. I have maybe had a weird relationship with my brain. I have been here for most of the days of my life, but some days, there are little periods of time where I don't know what happened. One was I like to go to, this is a crazy story, so I'm going to go crazy story. I used to do a lot of Shakespeare. Hope someday that I will do it again here in Los Angeles. People are a little afraid of Shakespeare, I think. I was at a Renaissance fair. I don't know if you've been to a Renaissance fair before, but it's super fun. And what happens is, all kinds of things happen. People dress up like they're in Game of Thrones. People drink beer out of giant mugs. Maybe they quaff beer. I don't know. They do some kind of thing like that. But also they perform Shakespeare, and that's what I was there for. So I was at the Ren Fair performing Shakespeare. I was going to perform Midsummer Night's Dream. I was there with my Shakespeare company. We all had shirts that said something like, support debauchery, greed, and treachery. We had these shirts on. And, and then we put our puffy shirts over that because you need the puffy shirts. And we had about, 15 minutes before we were going to perform. And I like to make use of my time. And they had this ramp that you could run down and jump off. So it was like a hill. You run down this hill, and there was a ramp, and you jump, and you go flying through the air, and you land in this big bale of hay. And so, I paid $0.25. You got to do 2 jumps. And I, ran down the hill, and I went flying off of that ramp And somewhere in the middle of my flight, as I'm going through the air, I realized that this was a ride for children. This was something for children to do, not adults, because I had cleared that bale of hay by like 10 feet. I landed in the parking lot of the Ren Fair on my wrist. And it was like, I felt like I broke my wrist or something. And it was so much pain that I passed out. I totally passed out. Happy birthday, Loretta. I implanted Joel years ago. Now he may be realizing it. So there I am in the parking lot of the Ren Fair, people running around, me just face down on the ground. And of course, my friends who were in the Shakespeare troupe knew that I was the founder of face dancing. So they just were laughing and carrying on and prancing about like they do when you're doing Shakespeare and you're about to do Shakespeare, and they're just totally happy, and I'm just face down on the ground. They're like, ha ha ha, Joel's face dancing, ha ha, let's stand on his back. And then, minutes went by, quite a while went by, and I suddenly woke up, and I got up off the ground. And I didn't know who I was or where I was or what was going on, which is weird because it's as if I was dropped onto the planet with no means of understanding how the world goes. And it's strange because, when there's a gap like that, and also when you lose all of your memories for a moment, really gives you an idea of how powerful the brain is, because mine wasn't functioning at all. I really did not know who I was. I saw the people staring at me. I kind of had this idea that the people in the puffy shirts were my people because I had the puffy shirt on as well, and they looked sort of familiar, and I decided to just act like I knew what was going on. And there's people swirling around, doing their Ren Fair thing. I feel, maybe I even thought I was in, ancient times, but I didn't even know what ancient times were. And then my friends are like, let's go perform Shakespeare. We're about to go on. And I'm like, okay. And I follow them, and we go on this raised platform. And there was an audience, and we started performing Midsummer Night's Dream. And I'm just kind of trying to go with it. It was like an actor's nightmare. I don't know if you know the actor's nightmare, but the actor's nightmare is where you're in a play and you never rehearsed. Happens to all actors. There's probably lawyer nightmares too, where you're there and you didn't do any research and you're trying to, I don't know, maybe somebody can tell us about that in the chat room. But yeah, so I'm up there, no idea what I'm doing. And luckily, there were some people there that were from, we used to call it special education, and they had come to see the play, and they didn't really understand what a play was. I didn't understand what a play was. They came up on stage and joined in. So we were having a really good old time with these Shakespearean actors, just, playing off them and improvising. And it was, probably one of the best performances that I've ever had because I had, was completely out of my mind. And that always makes for some good acting. So, so I know a little bit about this, like brain, like how the brain fires and how it doesn't fire sometimes. And so my wife gives me this article yesterday about this brain implant that they did in Melbourne, Australia. And it was a Seattle company. And they put a neural implant in this woman's head. And she had been having severe epilepsy. So they had about 15 people that they were allowed to put these things in their heads. Just like kind of an experiment. And this was in 2010. That's how I felt when I was born, like I took the wrong bus. Yeah, so they put this implant in this woman's head, and, they gave her like a little box that went along with it. There was like a wire that came out of her brain. It was like in her brain. But she had been having such horrible epilepsy where she was falling downstairs. She broke her jaw one time. They had to actually use like a bone from like her hip or something to repair her jaw. So this was totally worth it to her. I missed the part about how you got erased. Yeah. You're going to have to rewind to hear about that. So what happened then is she had the implant in her brain. She had this little box, and then the box was somehow connected to another computer, and the computer would study her brainwaves. And it learned when she was about to have a seizure. It learned. And so what it finally did after a while, after it learned from her brain, from reading her brain and seeing when seizures occurred, it then would sense what happens just before the seizure, like 15 minutes before the seizure, and it would light up and there would be a sound. And at first it just freaked her out. She was like at the barber, and all of a sudden she's at the hairdresser, and all of a sudden this like thing just goes off. And so she drove home, she laid down in bed, and I don't know, I guess she had a seizure. And then the thing kept learning. She eventually turned the siren off, but it would flash when things were about to happen, and she would take her medication. And then she stopped having seizures because she could guess when they were happening, and then take her medication. And that actually gave her a lot of confidence and a lot of control. Well, the problem was, 3 years into it, the study ran out of money. And so they called her up and they said, hey, look, we're going to have to take that brain implant out of your head. So she was not happy. She was really upset. And they had to do a surgery where they took the brain implant out and they took away the box. And the interesting thing about it is she got very sad, not just because she was possibly going to be having these seizures again and not know when they're coming, but also because she had become attached to that computer so much so that it was like a part of her. And it was like it was like her friend. It was like maybe even closer than that, maybe even a part of her, as if they like took off her arm or something. And she got very depressed. Luckily, she had a husband who helped her through these things, and she realized that she could now sort of anticipate when this fogginess would happen before her seizures, and she would take her medication. And so this actually helped her. But one of the things that they learned also, or she learned, and she said, was that if we do interface with these computers, they could become so much a part of us that you can't remove them. You can't remove them. Similarly to perhaps our iPhones. If we were to take our iPhones away from us today, that's really our first brain implant, right? And Google is our first artificial intelligence. And now, if that's not enough, it is time to bring on Gini Sikes, and we are going to be comedians talking science. So here we go. Yay! Oh no, I'm not. Yay! The crowd is going wild. Going wild. Gini Sikes. It's great to see you. I normally have that.
It's great to see you. And
yeah?
I love the idea of comedians talking science. Be prepared for misinformation.
Yeah.
Or no information at all.
It's like comedians doing the news. Like Jon Stewart and those people, they're always like, they always divorce themselves from responsibility from telling the news, even though they're telling the news all the time. And they're like, I'm just a comedian,
But they offer actually some news. Here we go.
They do. We're not.
I just wanted to tell you, you were talking about dreams. I did an article about dreams years and years ago where I interviewed sleep experts.
Yeah.
And different professions do have different dreams.
They do.
Students will dream. Students will dream about not being prepared for a test, like you're having a test that you didn't go to school, never took the class.
Really?
What teachers dream is similar to actors. They'll dream they're in front of the class with no clothes on.
I used to have that when I was a kid, where you go to school and you forgot to put your pants on. Do you ever have that one or something like that?
Yeah, so I guess.
And you suddenly realize, and you're sitting in the back of the class, and you're like, what am I going to do? How am I going to get out of here? Yeah. But actors, it's easy because we just have that dream where you just never went to rehearsal and you're trying to fake it. Similar to the experience I had in the Ren Fair, but that was real.
I had that same dream. I have a dream that I'm in a Shakespeare play,
Yeah.
and I don't know my lines, and nobody will give me the script. I'm like, I can hide it.
I'm always trying to find the script. Like that's what happens is I'll be in a play in my dream, and I'll be backstage just desperately trying to find the script, and I cannot find it. Or maybe I find it and it's like all the pages are stuck together, and it's just horrible. It's horrible.
Yep.
So I think probably lawyers do.
So then you have it for every
Yeah.
And then you have it for every anxiety situation, because I'm not an actor, but I dream that all the time if I'm anxious about something else.
Really?
About, not being prepared.
One of the things that I find interesting is, on our show and in life these days, people are often talking about spirituality and how we are not our bodies and we're like mind, body, spirit. And, when you have something like that, a situation where you maybe have a seizure or you pass out or even go under anesthetic, anesthesia, and you're just kind of not there. It kind of makes you wonder.
Or you're in between.
About this idea of spirituality. Yeah, it kind of makes you wonder. You know what I mean? Guignel says lawyers have nightmares until they figure out that alcohol makes them go away. Oh my God.
That's brilliant. And I think every profession has that option.
Yeah, I think so. I think, a lot of teachers and librarians, Okay, so we're going to watch something, and it's something that Todd brought up. Elon Musk, Neuralink is in pigs. Amazing stuff. But have you seen it in the monkey? So we're going to watch this. This is a video that Neural Net put out, which is Elon Musk's video. And we're going to look at it, and then we are going to try and explain it. Okay? Here we go. Okay, this is it. This is the video.
This is Pager.
Pager.
He's a 9-year-old macaque who had a Neuralink placed in each side of his brain about 6 weeks ago. If you look carefully, you can see that the fur on his head hasn't quite fully grown back yet. He's learned to interact with a computer for a tasty banana smoothie delivered through a straw. We can interact with the Neuralinks simply by pairing them to an iPhone, just as you might pair your phone to a Bluetooth speaker. The links record from more than 2,000 electrodes implanted in the regions of Pager's motor cortex that coordinate hand and arm movements. Neurons in this region modulate their activity with intended hand movement. For example, some might become more active when he moves his hand up, and others when he moves it to the right. By recording from many neurons and feeding their activity into a decoder algorithm, we are able to predict Pager's intended hand movements in real time. First, we calibrate the decoder by recording neural activity as Pager uses the joystick to move a cursor to targets presented on the screen. As he's playing this game, we are wirelessly streaming, in real time, the firing rates from thousands of neurons to a computer. Using these data, we calibrate the decoder by mathematically modeling the relationship between patterns of neural activity and the different joystick movements they produce. After only a few minutes of calibration, we can use the output from the decoder to move the cursor instead of the joystick. Pager still moves the joystick out of habit, but as you can see, it's unplugged. He's controlling the cursor entirely with decoded neural activity.
So he's moving it with his mind.
Our goal is to enable a person with paralysis to use a computer or phone with their brain activity alone.
Or a car.
Because they wouldn't be able to move a joystick, they would calibrate the decoder by imagining hand movements to targets. One of the things the Neuralinks allow Pager to do is to play his favorite video game, Pong.
He's better at it than I ever was.
To control his paddle on the right side of the screen, Pager simply thinks about moving his hand up or down. We've removed the joystick.
Not a joystick at all.
Now that he's up to speed, let's increase the difficulty and see how well Pager can play with the Neuralink.
Wow, he does play well.
He's much better than I am. I never could do that.
As you can see,
he's good.
Pager is amazingly good at mind Pong.
Well, there you go.
He's focused.
British guy agrees.
And he's playing entirely of his own volition.
Or the computer could be playing it, and we're just being told
It's not magic.
that.
The reason
Yeah,
Neuralink
that could
works
be. They're just
is
faking
because
it.
It's recording and decoding electrical signals from the
So the
brain.
part where he learns kung fu. Oh.
Great game, Pager. And what better reward for a monkey than a banana?
Oh
yeah,
my
why not
God.
give him some money, Elon?
Yeah, I know. What the heck? You put a thing in his brain. I don't know. I mean, so what? I mean, the ramifications of this are really quite frightening. And when they're in the hands of Elon Musk, who just, seems to just go for it. The thing about the Tesla cars, I mean, he put in the self-driving stuff into the cars before anybody said it was okay, right? He doesn't care.
Yeah, and they keep killing people. But here's, I watched this video before because I would never be able to get it in one take.
Yeah.
I started snoring during the complicated
I like
announcement.
the British
I just
guy.
looked at the monkey.
The British guy makes it seem really important. Or maybe he's Australian, I don't know.
Now, the intent of this is wonderful, to give people with paralysis the ability to just think, right?
Yeah.
And have the computer do what you want. But here's what I was thinking. Couldn't you, so you have the ability to think and make the computer do what you want.
Mm-hmm.
Couldn't they get to the point where if they knew, for instance, your ATM code or your password into your computer, you wouldn't see them putting it in. Couldn't they just think it into the computer and hack?
Yeah, I know. Well, the thing is, okay, so here's the thing, is it is connected to a phone through Bluetooth, right? But the phone is connected to the internet, right? And I mean, isn't that basically what will happen in the future? We'll have these implants and they'll be connected to the internet. And they're talking about being able to write to the brain and also be able to take signals from the brain. So you'll be able to control things, but also they'll be able to put stuff in you. I mean, it's like the worst conspiracy theory, implementation that I can think of is that they're going to be able to put crap in your brain. I mean, they can, but they do it at least through a phone or something.
Yeah, and look, we came to that conclusion on one watching. We didn't need any stories about a pizza parlor or pedophiles. Like, it's a pretty obvious leap to go that this could be brain control or used for nefarious purposes.
Yeah, what about hacking?
Since, that's exactly what I mean. Anybody, like if you could, you could hack people could hack your brain and you could hack other people's accounts. Although, I like the idea that it would help people who were paralyzed, but boy, this just seems right.
I always thought that this would happen in a medical way first, where we'd be like, oh, well, of course, we want to help blind people see, or people that are paraplegics be able to walk again. I mean, this is all incredible stuff, but as you play it out, I mean, obviously this is going to happen. Someday they'll play this video and they'll be like, ha ha, look at these people. Ha ha ha, they're wondering about the brain implants.
We'll be like the people who didn't, we'll be like, oh, look, they didn't even think TV would work.
Right.
But my question is, why does it have to be, could you do this and it would somehow not be connected to the internet? Could you have a private,
Yeah, but, it'd be like in Silicon Valley when they had a server that was not connected to the internet. That was their product for a while. It was a server that's just in a box. And it's kind of useless, compared to, let's see, how in the world did that woman agree that they could take an implant from her brain, the one for the seizures?
Pam, I would do it. I would do it. If they would give me that monkey thing, I would do it just because I'm older. I don't have that long to live. I would. I'm not a young person.
You mean to play
I don't
Pong?
have that long to live, and
to play Pong?
Because I'd be a lot better if I did it. But no, I would just think it'd be fun to just, what the fuck am I going to do for the rest of my life? If people want to go into my brain, as long as, they're not going to make me do porn because nobody wants to see. So what are they going to make me do? Buy some crap?
I think that you should look at it as just another way the divide will widen between those that have and those that do not. Only rich folks can afford the link. No, I think, Todd, they'll give them out for free. I think it'll be on your health insurance because they'll want, this is maybe the conspiracy theory person in me, but they'll want to have that, just like they want you to have phones so they can sell you products. They'll want to put these things in your brain so they can sell you stuff. so they can even change your opinions maybe. I mean, isn't that what commercials do? Isn't that what our phone does when it alerts us about different things? They're basically altering our minds a little bit by giving us a different reality. It's depressing. Can we hear about Ginny's ducks? Can you almost hear about Ginny's ducks?
I was just sharing some photos of them over coffee. But, Elon Musk is such a weird dude. Like, he's got all the money in the world. He wants to go to Mars.
Yeah.
Where, what does a rich man do on Mars? Like eat food that's, been frozen. I mean, is he going to import supermodels to Mars and, Teslas to Mars? What are the rich people going to do on Mars?
It's a good point. Pam says we already have folks being implanted with pacemakers. We are already there, Todd. It's true. I mean, we definitely have that, but it's not their brain. Upload the program for Kung Fu just like in the Matrix. That's what Todd was saying too. I wondered what he was talking about when the monkey learns Kung Fu. Think about it this way. Google is an advertising company. The trade-off for free everything is to gather information about you to sell it to advertisers. Plus, I think it's also about writing to your brain, right? It's not only read.
And Matt, this is why I would be a volunteer to have this implant, because it is already happening on some level. And, I don't think life is that interesting as you get old. So this would be fascinating.
Ginny, I don't think
you guys would be forced to learn about my thoughts, whether you liked it or not. That would
be a test
really
subject.
Fun.
I don't think you should tell Elon unless you're serious. A year from now, there'll be a video. Gini Sikes. Look at Gini Sikes. She's driving her car. Oh, she just hit a duck.
And then I'll go on, and then I go, here's what we're hearing from Ginny's brain. Save the duck, everybody. Elon, put money into ducks. Build a big duck sanctuary.
Just ducks. The future is that you get served up advertising based on the stuff you're thinking about. Well, yeah. I mean, I feel like we're already there, right? I mean, it's sort of already there. Probably the reason all these brain things are coming to me is because I Googled something about brains. And then maybe my wife got this article because of it. Right?
And I'd be thinking, got any duck food? Got any duck food?
You must when you open up, Facebook or whatever, there must be just ads about ducks all over the place because that's all you're.
I get duck shit all the time.
Pam says she thinks Elon Musk is a super genius and futurist and has the brain power and money to try out his ideas. Yeah, I mean, apparently he's one of the richest men in the world. If not, isn't this true? He's one of the richest. He went from
and now he's going out with Grimes.
Going out with Grimes. What does that mean?
Well, he had a baby with her.
Oh, yeah. What's the baby's name? Does anybody know? Because that's something we should fact check. It's like
you can't pronounce it or something. But if we had this microchip, it could be put into our brain so that we all knew how to pronounce his baby's name.
Well, for sure. I mean, I would think that Elon would want to, implant us with some of his own beliefs, whatever they are. Maybe the belief that we need to go to Mars and jettison our planet. Matt says, yeah, but currently you have to search for something, go to a website, say something out loud in your house so your smart speaker can listen to it. Yes, I think that we are just one step away from the brain implants. I think our interface is basically our hands and our eyes. That's the interface. That's our neural interface. I just don't like the idea of being a test subject on something so new because I don't know. Maybe, Ginny, maybe you feel like you're old, but you're not old and you've got a lot of life in you. And who knows, with all these technological advances, you could live to be 5,000 years old, according to Ray Kurzweil.
Oh, God, I hope not.
Oh, God.
I hope not.
Torturous. And then maybe I'd be able to pronounce Cynthia's last name. I know. Maybe I would. I don't know. Levin.
You know what I would like? That we'd be alive when this happens. I would like to see, the results of this. Yeah. If it's going to happen, I hope I'm alive when it happens.
I think you will be. Elon Musk says that by 2025, the computers are going to become smarter than we are. By 2025, they're going to take us over, and that's not very long. I can't do math, but I think it's pretty soon. Let's see what.
Matt brought up a point that. Yeah, it's kind of like, remember when I was saying QAnon needed the pedophile angle to get into it? Well, you just brought it up. Elon Musk accused a scuba diver who rescued these children that were trapped in a cave in Thailand of being a pedophile.
I remember that.
So he gets so there's your pedophile angle to get the conspiracy theory going.
Okay, so now speaking of brain manipulation, this is my segue. Speaking of brain manipulation,
good one.
Gini and I have a crazy story for you. And here we go into the second crazy story segment of the show. Crazy story cult version. So Gini has a show called Murder, Death, Kill. It's a podcast. There's a link, right? MDK.
MDK Squad.
I knew I was missing something. If I only had a neural implant, I would just know it all. MDK Squad, and it is a podcast available where podcasts are.
A true crime. It's a true crime podcast.
Yeah, explain it to us. Tell us about it.
Mm-hmm.
True crime podcast.
Well, it started as mainly serial killers, but God, our serial killers, they're a lot alike. Shitty childhoods, and then, chopping up people and eating them, and it gets a little dull. So we've expanded to true crime in general.
Okay.
And the last person I did was a cult, a woman who sacrificed her kids to Santa Muerte, a saint.
Wow.
So
that's the last one you did?
Yeah.
Oh, I remember. Yeah. So I listened to that one, and there was a guy giving you a hard time about how you pronounce the name. You're Spanish.
Oh, yes, because he speaks Spanish. Yes, and I was, I mangle every language.
If you had a neural implant, you would be fine.
But I have to give you your props. I mean, this woman that you found today in this cult.
Isn't it incredible?
Wow.
Yeah.
And, my brother was in the Rajneesh, the wild country.
Yeah.
And boy, this
is wild, isn't it? It's wild. So we've got a wild story for you today. I was digging around and I was, trying to find out when did cults start? When were they popular in Los Angeles? Because in Los Angeles, there's all these actors around, and as I always say, actors are like a cult magnet. So I was like, I wonder when they really started making cults in Los Angeles. Pam just wrote a very long text that there's no way I can read it right now, Pam. I will post it at some point on the screen so we can look at it. But yeah, so I figure
it's the Grimes.
Oh, it is. Oh, the baby name. All right, I like it. Well, it's just, let's see. Oh, the name is, it's like X, and then there's an AE symbol, and then there's an A-12. Like, I don't even know how to pronounce that AE symbol. I don't even know.
That's the intent.
All right, so let's talk about the cult of the Great 11.
Yes, please.
In the 1920s, when I suppose film started really blossoming in Los Angeles, it was like a prime time for cults. And I believe it's probably because there were so many actors, right? So many actors. And one of the craziest cults is this one that we found. And it was called the Divine Order of the Royal Arms of the Great 11. How did this start? Where did this come from? Do you know, Gini?
Well, yeah. Well, I'm so happy you told me about this. So there was a woman named May who, quick little backstory. May was married 3 times, which I think contributes to all of this. She was 16 when she got married the first time. She had a baby. That man was gambling and spending all their money. Mm-hmm. So they separated, or he left. Or
she was from what, like Iowa or someplace, I think, something like that.
Yeah. And you got to remember, this is the early. Well, probably when she got married, it was in the teens, because she gets busy in the 1920s. But she has this baby, and she's young, so she gives the baby to her mother, and says they raise it as May's sister.
Oh.
And she goes on to another man. She's obviously going to men for money, but you have to remember it would have been very hard for her to make money on her own. So she goes to another man, and she doesn't tell him about the kid. and she marries him, and then he supports her, and then she tells him, "Oops, I've been married before, and he's come back."
Oh no!
You remember that? Like,
yeah, right.
And then she got to
better look out. He's coming back. Yeah.
And she starts making money, and because this is a very female-centric cult. But then she uses the money to make movies, which
she made a movie. She made two movies, right? One was called A Nugget in the Rough.
Starring her beautiful daughter. She had a beautiful daughter, which everybody agreed she was beautiful. So the only job she could get was basically a stripper in those days.
She was a dancer.
An exotic dancer.
A taxi dancer, they called it.
Oh, she had two jobs.
Taxi dancer. Yeah.
Dancer. She did one where she would be paid to dance with men, which was kind of prostitution if the men, right? And then she was an exotic dancer. But this is not the interesting part.
What women had to go through at this time. You know what I mean? Like, it's just crazy.
Well, it is. It really is true. Yeah. I mean, I think that's some of
No wonder, they formed cults and became serial killers. Not this.
Well, although, May preyed on women, she had more female followers, and she took money from impoverished women.
Whoever will believe your story and give you money, right?
I think some of the stuff that formed her was her own, like, I need to manipulate and do all this in order to survive. Not only survive, but to grow wealthy.
Yeah. Yeah.
So to tell you, and to explain what she did, so she starts this, she gets this oil guy, and tells him that she had a visit from the angel Gabriel.
Yeah.
And that he told her it's all about the apocalypse. He told her that the apocalypse was going to come in 1925, and that we would want the apocalypse because all the people who were good would get out of the earth. But the only way to speed it up was for May to publish her book of writings about what Gabriel had said to her.
Yeah. And
this oil guy, she got a lot of money from him. And what she did with it, do you remember she would show people these scrolls. That
she had like a trunk full of stuff that looked like it was all her writing material, but apparently it just had like writing like on the top of it. Have stacks of paper, and they just have some writing on the top of it. This sort of, you couldn't even read it, and it was like all of her work for this book that was called the Seventh Trumpet of Gabriel. That's what it's called, I believe. Is that what it's called? Yeah. So as soon as she finishes writing this book, she's got to write it before the apocalypse. And for some reason, people are like, "Wow, let me get my wallet out. Let's get that apocalypse happening." Some people, I guess, they want that.
Well, and the man who wrote the book on this said that initially she gets all these impoverished women to give their savings, and that she's going to have them as followers, and they're going to live in these mansions, facilities. But she hooks up with some guy who is connected to Christian Scientists.
Yeah.
But this man is not a wacko. He's educated and stuff. But apparently May is so charismatic.
She apparently could talk you into anything, this woman.
Right.
That's what they said. She was so incredibly charismatic. I see, like, I've got a picture of her. I mean, you can't tell by looking at her.
And it wasn't about her looks. Now, her daughter was supposed to be very beautiful. And her daughter's in on this too.
Yeah.
But the guy, so she kind of hooks up with Christian Scientists. She gets this man goes, and most of the Christian Scientists are like, "Hey, no, we're not very interested in you. We got our own thing going." But she gets this couple involved, correct? And they basically help bankroll her.
Yeah. So she made her movie up in Portland. I don't know why she made the movie in Portland. Portland was they liked it, but no one else liked it. They came back down to Los Angeles. The guy she was dating finally just joined the army. He was finally just like, I got to get out of here. But their movement started really gaining speed. They started on Bunker Hill here in Los Angeles. And she was going to be writing this book, and she raised a lot of money. I think in the end, she raised about $300,000, which back then was just an unbelievable sum of money. It's still a lot of money. It's still a lot of money. And apparently the women, so there were going to be these 11 quees, these women.
Oh, this is great. Yeah.
And they
very
were all
female-centric.
Yeah. So they all will get a mansion, and they have something called a Concorde, which is like their, I don't know, their sign or something. Like there was one that was medicine or something. They all had different concords.
Oh, they get new names. She gives them new names. And the best thing they get is they get 12 kings each. They get a male
12
harem.
kings. Yeah, that was it.
Yeah, there were 11 queens, and they get 12 kings each. And I mean, isn't that beautiful? Like, with all the things of, people get 75 virgins. You're like, well, what do the virgins get out of it?
Yeah.
But
Portland.
So I think she, really, Portlandia would have had.
Yeah, Portland, definitely. She's perfect for Portland. But okay, also, so there was a book in the book of Revelations 11:3. It says, "I will appoint my 2 witnesses, and they will prophesy for 1,260 days, clothed in sackcloth." And the whole thing was based on that. This whole thing about the 12 queens. And so then they decided that
11 queens.
Oh, it's 11 queens. Yes, of course, 11 queens. Then they decided that this one girl, who was the daughter of 2 of the disciples, was
the Christian Scientist couple.
Is that the Christian Scientist couple?
Wow. Yes. And she had tried it several times. Apparently she was obsessed with young girls, but it wasn't clear why.
Yeah.
She married her stepbrother at one point, and nobody could understand why she married him. He didn't have money. He must have been on the spectrum. They when she was arrested, they thought he was the mastermind, and then they interviewed him, and the press interviewed him, and they said, "What do you do?" And he says, "I count the cars going by the windows." That was his task.
That was
she
what
would
he
say,
does.
"Ward, go count how many cars come by our window." I don't know why, but he was a pedophile. So
that's what they said.
There was some belief that maybe she was attracted to young girls for him, but there was no evidence that they did this. But she kept trying to steal young girls. She went up to one woman and said, "Your daughter's beautiful. Can I have her? I will take good care of her." And another time she went in someone's yard and they tried to get a kid, and somebody came out with a shotgun. Whoa. So finally she tells the couple, the Christian Scientist couple who was helping to bankroll her, she has a beautiful 16-year-old daughter named Willa. And she said, "I've heard about Ganell. Oh, you. But your queens were a little different." I know what kind of queens you hung out with.
What were their concords?
But But anyway, Willa.
So Willa is the daughter of William and Martha Rose, and they wanted to make her the Tree of Life priestess. Mm-hmm. She was 16 years old. They were like, "Bring her on down." I think she was still up in Portland. They were like, "Bring her on down to Los Angeles."
Somewhere, yeah.
And they brought her to 640 South Manhattan, which is a place in like Koreatown now. They brought her there.
Oh, right? And we should mention that they committed dog sacrifice for some reason.
Well,
they would kill dogs.
They did. That's the thing that's really not allowed. Really not allowed.
But when they bring Willa, they convince the Christian Scientists that this is a great honor, and they bring her down to where you said on Manhattan.
Yeah. Manhattan Boulevard
in Koreatown, I guess.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And they get her there, and everybody comes out and says, "Oh, you're beautiful," and they give her 7 puppies.
Yeah.
As a gift.
And
for a month, everybody loves her. Everybody treats her like, a queen. And then she gets a toothache.
Yeah. And then she gets bedridden. And she gets a fever.
Right.
But back then, you could get a fever from a toothache because people, the dental situation wasn't as fine as it is now in Los Angeles. I say that a little sarcastically. And then, but she got a fever, and then she was bedridden. And they were like, "Oh, she's going to be okay." And at one point, she seemed like she was okay. She got up and walked around, and she seemed like she was fine. And then the next day, she got really bad. And then she essentially died, right? She died.
Yeah, she died within a month. And
then the 7 puppies mysteriously died too, right?
Yeah, well, the 7 puppies were murdered. So it was like the Egypt. How they would bury the cats with them or something, except they decided they would kill them. They chloroformed them first, apparently.
Apparently they chloroformed them.
And then I think there was they feared that she had, later they thought maybe May, the cult leader, poisoned
Willa,
the young girl. But it's all unclear why the young girl was there.
Yeah.
And then what happens? They decide.
What happened is ridiculous. It's so ridiculous and so weird, and I don't understand the motivation behind it. But
and
I
it goes
think
on and on.
May told the parents, "Don't worry about it because I'm going to resurrect her. I'm going to resurrect."
But you can't
Willa.
bury her.
You can't bury her.
I'm going to resurrect her.
So they've like put her in ice in like a tub at that same location, and they kept having some guy come and deliver ice, and they had her on ice and the puppies as well. I mean, it's just,
Right.
it's just.
Well, they moved her around.
Then they moved her. They put her in the back of the car and kind of sat her upright and moved and drove like to the next house. Finally, they ended up.
Oh, and remember that the Iceman asked him, "Why do you need 600 pounds of ice?"
Right.
It was like either a day or a week. I don't know. And because it kept melting, it was LA.
Oh, God.
But they did preserve her.
It
And
seems
and
like
then-
so
and then
much
I think-
work, and I don't understand what they were doing. Maybe she was trying to still get money out of the parents because she promised that they were going to
don't know.
resurrect, or maybe she was trying to just cover her tracks in some way so nobody would say, "Hey, she killed my daughter." I don't know what I know that they ended up in Venice, and the parents lived in this house. I think it was in Venice, and they lifted up the floorboards and they put her in this coffin, as it were, and they somehow mummified her.
May had told them. Yeah, May had told. Yeah, they did. They did homemade mummification. And, but May had told her bury her like basically so she's upright, so that when she comes to, she can just push up on the floorboards and come out. So they're sleeping in their room with their dead daughter underneath there.
And the puppies.
Oh, right, and the 7 puppies. You know, so weird. They sacrificed dogs, but yet she got 7. You know.
It's amazing that she could talk people into all this stuff. I mean, what was this I would like to meet this person just to see what is this person like that she could talk people into these things. And they would also have these big elaborate ceremonies. Eventually, they got some big compound in Simi Valley, and they would do these elaborate.
Yes, and she would.
Yeah, they would do these things.
Kind of like the. Yeah, and the drones, you know, like the people who, you know, just gave them their money. It's kind of like Scientology. You know how Scientology treats celebrities really well, but the worker bees. Well, they said that, you know, May would get these places, these mansions, and then just divide them into these tiny rooms where the followers would be. And she lived in splendor. She and her daughter, Ruth.
Yeah, so they lived in splendor.
So while Willa is buried,
that's
when Ruth meets a man.
Yeah, so she meets this guy.
Him.
Rizzio.
Who's connected to the mafia, of course.
Of course. I've got a picture of him somewhere.
His dad was a mafia.
Yeah, here he is. So here's Rizzio and Ruth, and they're in love, right?
And you can see Ruth is pretty. I mean, she was older there, but she was pretty, very pretty.
Oh, yeah. And I think
but
this made the mom kind of like,
starts to get-
wait a minute, this isn't cool, right?
Right, because the husband, you know, kind of let the wife do it because he, you know, was crazy about her. Yeah. But he started to think these people are whack jobs.
Yeah, right.
Which you would think he would have known before he married her.
Yeah, but I mean, she must have been, you know, something else. So he was like, I'll just put up with this for now. And then later on, he was like, I don't think I can live with this. And then the mom was like, I don't think I can live with the old Rizzio. And she tried to get this other couple to poison him, right? Eleanor Sandrosky. And apparently Eleanor Sandrosky and her husband were like, no. Her husband was like, no, we're not going to poison this guy. What are you talking about? Let's get out of here. And then so she revised her thing saying, well, okay, we're not going to kill him with poison. We're just going to do this ceremony, and it's going to be like we're giving him poison. And that will get I think he had some priests sitting on his shoulder that he needed to get rid of. And that's what she said.
Yeah, and what's so incredible is how the couple like keep saying no, no, no.
Yeah.
She keeps saying, well, we're going to poison him this way, we're going to poison him that way, and they keep saying, no, we don't want to do that. And then she says, well, okay, I'll just put some stuff in his tea and it will seem like he's poisoned. Okay, we'll do that.
Must be so persuasive, this person. More persuasive than my friend Gordy Wall, who could get you to just do about anything. Maybe I don't know, maybe they're related. Maybe that's it. So, you know, the other thing that's amazing about this is, in the end, they got away with most of this stuff. Right? Oh, what?
Yeah, well, right, because the husband, they did poison him.
They did poison him.
Well, but we don't know because no body was ever found. He just disappeared.
Wow.
And then her bankroller started to go, it's been all these years, you haven't written the book, I want my money back. And then he sues her.
So she went to court even. And still, apparently, she remained unscathed, right? Well,
what happened was so she goes to court, and the prosecutors bring up all this weird shit she's doing. You know, like you mentioned to me that she put somebody in an oven to help cure some blood disease. She had some kind of blood disease, and so she tried to bake her in this oven. Yeah, just all this horrible stuff. The court, she first gets convicted. She appeals. It went to the Supreme Court. Now, I'm not sure if it was the state Supreme Court or federal. Mm-hmm. And they found that it had nothing to do, all her shit that she did, maybe murdered somebody, maybe put people in ovens, sacrificed dogs, while weird, had nothing to do with the original case, which was that she took money from this man. Yeah. They found that you willingly gave money to her. It doesn't matter what else she was doing. Your case isn't about her torturing animals or doing anything else. It's, it's a religion, or she said she was a religion. It's up to you whether or not you want to give her money. And so they found for her, she didn't serve any time at all.
She probably was a great lawyer too. She's probably her own lawyer because she could just talk anybody into anything. Wow. I want to see that movie. She should be in that movie.
Exactly. Why didn't they make a movie of this? This is so ripe for movie.
I know. All right, we got to go.
So she lived another 10 years, and then the cult just fizzled out.
Oh, God, that's an incredible story. Yeah, you're right. There's a bizarre horror film in this.
Yeah, it would be great.
Yeah. All right, so we got to get on.
By the way, if you go online, you can see pictures of the puppies and the woman's body after they found her. I mean,
they found the
not
casket.
Gruesome.
Yeah.
I mean, it's gruesome in that what they did, but they actually did preserve her.
Yeah. I think I have a picture, but I don't know where it is. As usual, I have no idea where it is.
I think he did have an implant.
There was even one where there's a little puppy maybe. Anyway, let's get on to the dance break. I got a great dance break. Cynthia Levin was on the show last week or the week before, and she had mentioned the Kinks, and we played Lola last Friday. And so today we're going to play the counterpoint to Lola, which is called Yoda. It's Weird Al Yankovic, and we're going to have someone fantastic covering it. So let's get on to the dance break. Here we go. Thanks, Ginny, for being on the show. And your internet was fantastic, and it started to freeze like right at the end, which is perfect. It's perfect. So let's get on to the dance break. Here we go. I think we're going. It's too funny. All right, here he is. Fernando Ufret singing Yoda. I've got some good dance gifts. Parody.
Bubbles all the time like a giant carbonated soda. With soda. I saw the little rat sitting there on the lawn. I asked him his name, and in a raspy voice he said Yoda.
Come on, Jenny, dance. Yoda's dancing. Guy's great. Go to his YouTube channel. He's got all kinds of covers on classical guitars. see what like an Ewok.
And if you stop and grow straight, let the force be your guide on my Yoda.
Let's go.
Yo, 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 Yoda. I know that Vader's really got you annoyed, but remember.
Thanks everybody for joining us today. We'll be here on Wednesday with John Curry. Come join us. Thanks, Fernando, for loaning us your song. We'll see you all on Wednesday.